Okay, may I have your attention, please? Our topic today is teaching a phonetic symbol, especially in vowel, and the object is a high school student. We are come from group 3. Our group has 4 members, is me, Linh, Lệ, and Huyền. This is our table of content. The first part is introduction overview of the function of IVA. The next part is challenge of learning IVA. And the third part is lesson plans and teaching strategies. And the final one is conclusion. In the lesson plan and teaching strategy, the first part is lead in and warm up when we present this part, and the next part is presentation is led, and the final is production is linked. So I will take response in the first part. Before I enter our presentation, I will introduce our key concepts. The first one is language focus. It is mainly on symbolic and style feature of vowel with the related skill on in focus is listening and speaking, which is very good skill to improve pronunciation. And some prevalent problem is learner not able to unfamiliar with symbol with the phonetic symbol because they tend to imitation. The first part is introduction. I will introduce you about International Phonetic Alphabet. It's also called IBA. It is a system of transcription and voice sound. Each icon presents a unique symbol, and with the first goal is tackle pronunciation problem and separating vowel and consonants. This is the phoneme chart. It is a table that display the IBA symbol of each IBA phoneme of international alphabets. It can be organized in different ways. Like you can see the first 3 rows is the vowel and the rest is consonant, and it's divided through monophthong and diphthong. And in X symbol, it also have the example of X symbol. For example, we have E like sit and E like sit, so that the learner can recognize the difference between X symbol. Okay, the next part is about overview of function of when learning IBA. When learner knowing how to use IBA, it will help them promote self-control and self-confidence. For example, like me as a learner, the first one when I approach pronunciation, I don't know how. I don't have any ideas about IBA and symbol in IBA charts. That's when because our timeline we only focus on grammar, and when I have to find my own way to learning pronunciation, I search on dictionary and I get familiar more with the symbol in IBA chart, and it helped me a lot in improving my pronunciation. The next is when you know the IBA chart, you will distinguish between the similar sound. For example, I have voice like and unvoiced like lazy or lazy, and the wind. When we write in IBA, we can transcription like wind or white. Because this is the difference, because it's based on the difference in part of speech. And when you write the IBA and transcription, you will know that although it have the same in spelling, that it may be pronounced differently. And moreover, the learner can recognize the phonemic and style placement habit, and also identify the theory related to pronunciation. Turn to the next part. I will show you about the challenge when learning IBA pronunciation, especially in pronunciation. The first one is difficult with learner. The next part is different in phonological system because the English system is quite different from Vietnamese system because most of the Vietnamese learner don't have any ideas about the symbol in IBA just because they using Roman character and it's quite unfamiliar with Vietnamese. And most learners of Vietnam don't have any background knowledge. If they don't learn English or have a deeply fighting when learning pronunciation, and it makes very difficult to recognize the sound. I will take the example with and if we are learning in Vietnamese, when it's turning in Latin letter, it tend to pronounce like chop in Vietnam. And if the learner cannot recognize the difference between these two characters, they will don't know how to pronounce rich and rich. The next difficult with learner is the age. As I have searched on the source on the internet, I found that the adult learner often find difficult to comprehensive new language because of their long-term exposure when learning their mother language, and it's quite hard to change their accent. And children, on the other hand, with the age below the 15 years old, they will comprehend the new language as well as pronunciation more flexible and more natural. According to the Mars Podkowski in 1980, he said that learner who's exposed to a second language speaking before the age of 15 years old achieves higher synthetic proficiency in the target language than adult learner. So we need to learning pronunciation as soon as possible. The next difficult with the teacher. The first one I will point out is limited in teaching time because teachers have to stay on schedule to implement the curriculum with the limited time, so they will hard to cover all the page, especially in pronunciation, and it makes explicit pronunciation teaching unfeasible. And according to Nguyen and Nitton in 2020, he said that when teaching pronunciation with a class of 40 to 50 students, it is waste of time because they don't have enough time to cover all class, practice, and give feedback to each student. So it's quite waste of time. The next difficult is about the textbook. Because of the heavy teaching loads in the main desk curriculum and the pressure to finish all of the units in allocated time frame, mass pronunciation is low priority, and if a teacher only focusing on pronunciation, they cannot ensure that all of the unit will be finished, and they will fall behind the schedule. So I think teacher should teach that student how to distinguish between their symbols so that they can learn by their own, and they can study it without any guidance. But they also can pronounce correctly. And for the next part, I will introduce Huyền to show you our lesson plan for this technique. Thank you for you providing an overview. Thank you for providing an overview. And now I will discuss the lesson in the pronunciation lesson plan. Firstly, before the lesson, before the lesson, teacher should decide the objective before the lesson even start regarding the lecture on the board pronunciation. Student need to accomplish the some of following objectives by the end of the lesson. First, and foremost, I hope that my students will improve their pronunciation skill, and the second, they can learn and practice by using their lip set correctly. And the last is the most important. By the end of the lesson, I hope that learner can recognize and produce vowels such as articulation and symbols correctly for learning vocabulary and communication. So now I will start with the first lesson here, which is warm-up activities for the session. I anticipate the following outcomes from my students. Firstly, they can start the mouth muscle and to make it simple to pronounce. And secondly, students can recall the previous lesson. And finally, I hope that you will be more interested with the lesson today. Okay, so this is a demo warm-up activities. As I mentioned before, I want my students active their mouth muscle. So now we will do a stretching activities exercise. So now can you demonstrate with me? Thank you. Can you? In this activity, the teacher will invite one student to demonstrate which this activity. Firstly, you straight up and with both feet flat on the floor and put your hand on your lap. Okay. So now take a deep breath through your nose and hold it for 3 seconds. Then breathe air forcefully to your mouth and dropping your soda. Yeah, thank you. And then open your mouth twice as if you are yawn and hold it for 3 seconds, and then close it. Now you massage your yawn, the corner of jaw, and then relax it and open. Okay, thank you. This exercise will help students have a great preparation before entering to learn to speak. The next part is the lesson of review. I will ask before the last lesson review, I will ask students to do a game of reading rhymes in English, which is known as tongue twister. Okay, this is for name Peter Piper. And now I will show you, and this lesson is on time, and then I will pick one student to read it again. Peter Piper takes a pack of pickled peppers. Pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper takes. If Peter Piper takes a pack of pickled peppers, what is the pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper takes? It's lower. Peter Piper takes a pack of pickled peppers. A pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper takes. If Peter Piper takes a pack of pickled peppers, where's the pack of pickled peppers? Okay, so now who can help me read it as fast as possible? Lâm, can you?
Can you repeat?
Yeah. I'm sorry, this is a picture.
Can you do it first?
I'm sorry because the limit of the time, so I cannot repeat them. Please help me.
Peter Either we were pick a pack of pickled pepper, a pack of pickled peppers, either pickle. If either pickle, a pack of pickled peppers, wax the pack of pickled peppers, either pick.
Very good, love. Thank you. So now I will give you one more interesting version. Okay, so now we will listen it to one repeat again, and then you will listen to more interesting version. If Peter Piper takes a pencil first, Peter Piper takes. Next time, Peter Piper takes a pack of pickled peppers, a pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper takes. If Peter Piper takes a pack of pickled peppers, where's the pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper takes? Let's try again at normal speed. Peter Piper takes a pack of pickled peppers. A pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper takes. If Peter Piper takes a pack of pickled peppers, where's the pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper takes? Now for a bit of fun. Thank you. So now we will move on to the lead-in. So in the part of the lesson, I hope that we can get free for that is following. Firstly, if you are a teacher, so now I will check if my student is ready, such as setting into a stable fit, noticing that students are already in the spirit of starting the class. And second, I want to introduce students to vowels. And finally, I want to help students to realize the importance of correct vowel pronunciation. About the teacher activities, teacher will divide the class into two groups and ask students to list the vowel. And the next, I will require students to give example of what that containing vowel, and thereby drawing the conclusion that any English word contains the vowels. And finally, I will guide students play game that is minimal pair, and then move on to the main content of the lesson. About the student activities, first, student will discuss at least all of the vowels that they know, and the next, they will join the game that with some pair words that easily confused. So now, can anyone can help me to read this pair of words? Please, can you help me to read this pair of words? Yeah, leave, hat, full. Thank you, very good, Pete. And do you think do you confused when reading this pair of words?
When I worked in high school, this kind of word made me confuse a lot because most of the time I just focus on grammar and read grammar, so my weakness is pronunciation. But when I got to university, when I have to improve my speaker a lot, so I have become more confident.
Okay, thank you. But you know, when you just have a mispronunciation about this pair of words, you will give wrong information. So this is very important to pronounce correct the vowel correctly. So now we will move on to the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, and for introducing me. Today, I want to show you an important step of the lesson plan, that is orientation. And in this class, the speaker will to explain how to pronounce the sound and symbols of sound. So before the first of our lesson, I think the teacher should explain a little bit about how vowels are made. So let's make a little experiment. I have the long vowel E in the word feet, and the long vowel R in the word father. So we can realize that something is the tongue is play a important role in the pronouncing the vowel, and the tongue is moving into a lot of parts of the mouth. So we can conclude that vowels are mostly created by the tongue in a particular position. Okay, so Jonathan Marks writes that every lesson includes speaking and listening. So every lesson is a pronunciation lesson. That's right. Each teacher has a particular method of teaching pronunciation, but it would be difficult to spend an entire lesson working on just one or two sounds. So it can make sense to work on connected speech or concentrating on stress or intonation. And I think many teachers often take pronunciation integrated vocabulary, and the relationship between vocabulary and pronunciation is very close. So with any language, it's important to learn pronunciation. It has very close relationships. So for the first advantage of teaching pronunciation, integrated vocabulary is that the student can understand the both sound structure and meaning of the word at the same time. So for the students who want to learn English in a methodical way, learning pronunciation is not only based on audio, but also have to look at the transcription of the sound of the word, and they also face with a lot of talent, a lot of challenge with memorizing symbols, and so teachers, I think teachers should combine pronunciation exercise into the lesson to distinguish familiar couple of the sound, especially long vowels and short vowels. So when the students understand the origin of sound, it's easier to remember and classify the word. Okay, let's make an example for pairs of sounds that are difficult to distinguish. I want to ask a student to practice the long vowel R and the short vowel R. I suppose that in our lesson I have 6 vocabulary here, and the task for the student is classify which ones contain R and which one contain R. Okay, anyone can help me? Lâm. Can you classify here into two groups of sounds?
Man, bar, heart, cashier, mustache, large, and
So which ones contain R?
there's words with R about is bar, heart, and large, and the rest is add.
Yeah. Thank you for supporting me. It's very good. Um, I want to move on to another part that is the presentation methods. What do you think about importance of yeah, instruction of pronunciation technique? As I know, some teachers make model to teach a sound and require them imitate without any explanation of often speak. But I think teacher need to clear the principle of sound. Then learners can imagine the place and manner of articulation. Um, so the best method I think is the teacher should show their students demonstration diagrams or the videos for moving open speech and they have to explain it. This process will start with making model, explain and practice. Okay, learning a foreign language often presents us with the problem of physical familiarity. It sometimes seems physically difficult to make foreign language sounds using particular parts of the mouth, tongue, or nasal cavity. To counter this problem, we need to be able to show and explain exactly where sounds and where sounds are produced and where is the tongue in a relation in the teeth, and what is the shape of the lip when making a certain vowel sound. So I want to make an experiment with the long vowel R. Firstly, the teacher should explain how to pronounce this sound. Uh, mm, First, the sound need say the letter R in the throat, and the mouth is round like R. And the tongue at the bottom, keep the tongue at the bottom of the mouth. And then each time to practicing, the teacher requires their student listen and repeat the sound. I think it's a correct process for teaching a new sound. So since English is apparently delivered by like a sound and spelling correspondence, though in fact most spelling is highly regular and the number of exceptions fairly small, it may make sense to them to be aware of the different phonemes. And the clearest way, I think, for promoting this awareness is to introduce the symbols for their students. Okay, the next part of our lesson plan, I want to introduce Miley. Thank you, Lek, for introducing me. After the presentation and practice stage, we will come to the production stage. And in this stage, we will mainly focus on the pronouncing as fluently and naturally as possible, and a student would do outside the classroom. Well, as you know, the production stage is
when students are allowed to come up with words and sentences with the logic structures relating to themselves. They have had time to focus on form in the presentation and practice stage. So this stage is about using the lesson in appropriate situation. This is a much freer situation therefore, although the student may be given role, they are free to talk about whichever situation they choose. And in this introduction stage, the teacher role is the student will be producing the subject language with minimal assistance from the teacher, and it's opposed to the practice stage where the teachers will be on hand for this student rehearse subject language that has only just been presented to them. It presents stage focus on context, practice focus on accuracy, then production mainly focus on fluency. As a student role is to student needs to speak up to 19% of the time and teachers only 10%. And they have to use the language in a nature, everyday context through practical tasks within minimal input of the teacher. Okay. With this lesson plan, I want to introduce to you some mini game, some activity to apply this pronunciation. The task I choose in this lesson plan is communication task. Teacher can divide class into groups or then each group is given a topic containing a pair of companies, and members in the group are assigned to create a short conversation and practice together. And they take turn to be a checker and note down the mistake of each member, and then we report to the teacher at the end of the activity. For example, if teacher gives the pair stare and stare, then we can make a sentence include the pair of words. Like Louis paired Mary, who have just took on the stairs. Okay. And now, can anyone help me to demo the activity by make a sentence that include two words stand and stand? I will give you about 15 seconds, and then I will invite one student to make a sentence with me. Okay. This task, I think that teachers should choose the familiar word for students, because the time for this task is about less than 10 minutes. Therefore, the word must not be too difficult to make the sentence. Okay. Now I will invite one person. Can you give me a sentence that includes two words? Sorry, can you? I sent you 5 cents. Yesterday I sent you 5 cents. Can you give comment on the Maya's pronunciation? I think her pronunciation is very good and very funny, so that I can understand the meaning. Okay, is the two words are pronounced good? Okay, thank you. Well, that was the more part in this activity, and thank you for your supporting Maya and mine. Now. Sorry. Now we will come to the teacher activity. This part. The teacher just needs to give students the topic and let them practice together in group. And in the end of the activity, teacher check the result of all group. And the mission of student is to make a short conversation from the given topic and given and practice with partners. And then they list the mistake and report to the teacher at the end of the activity. Okay, now we come to the review part. We're gonna spend about 5 to 7 minutes for this part. Therefore, I will suggest some mini games for teacher to design create in their class, such as Kahoot or quizzes. And teacher can prepare about 20 to 25 words transcription of voice for students, and then a student choose the right word that transcribes the given one in about 10 to 15 seconds. And at the end of the game, teacher will give the prize to the top students to encourage them, and spend about some minutes to check the answer and give comments on the failed choice. And explain why this mistake have happened. Okay, that was the end of my presentation. Now I want to recap what we have said. The first part is introduction and overview of IPA, phonetic symbols and phonemic chart of Hồng Nhung. And this part including knowing how to use the IPA, promote self-control and self-confidence, and help students to distinguish the difference between the similar sounds. The next part is challenge of learning IPA pronunciation. And final part is lesson plan and teaching strategy. And this strategy we choose for our PPT as known as the presentation, practice, and production. Thank you. And now is the Q&A part. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us.
Right, so maybe I just have a quick question regarding the topic. So it's the pronunciation in the you have presented and you have suggested some activities for each step in the lesson. But I think in reality, very rarely the teacher will spend a whole lesson just focusing on the pronunciation features. So I just want to know how and in what way we can integrate pronunciation with other skills in an English lesson.
Let's make sure that I think speaking of it.
The close relationship. Yeah. I think that sometimes we can integrate with kind of like the speaking skill or listening skill as well, not just vocab. So it can be integrated in almost all other skills because it is hidden behind everything. I think pronunciation is very important. Because if the student know how to write first, they can how to pronounce the word. It still cause confusion for the listener. Yeah. For my question, if the friends. So do you have any questions for the group? No? Excellent. I think that you have completed your mission now. So thank you. Thank you everyone.